Jackie the burglar has been at it again. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is John. This is Cookie Tea. We talk beauty 5 days a week. Today we're going to be talking all about the Jaclyn Hill situation. Basically, Jaclyn Hill has released this under eye powder and it's an absolute disaster, okay? Where do we even start with this? The shade range, marketing. This is not the first time I've had this from Jaclyn Hill, but the internet has been in flames about this. Everything's been kicking off. So why don't we just get straight into the video? Jaclyn Hill is around 30 years old now. She currently lives in Tampa, Florida. She is a famous beauty YouTuber. She's one of the OGs. She's been around for a long time, millions of subscribers, but she's not really been consistent on YouTube. She's disappeared now and again. She's had a lot of personal drama and it does tend to air very publicly when it does happen. She's not one of those people that sort of like manages to hide everything. It usually breaks out quite publicly, whether it's a collaboration that goes downhill or a relationship breakup or anything else. It tends to be very public and very vocal with Jaclyn, and you tend to see it in the videos. And a lot of people, I think, stopped watching Jaclyn over the years, but they do still tune in when drama kicks off just to see what she says and how she reacts to it, because sometimes it can just be all over the place. But anyway, Jaclyn, in terms of beauty brands and stuff like that, has been heavily affiliated with the brand Morphe pretty much since the beginning of Morphe, since 1 or 2 years into their brand's journey. So she met the owner, one of the owners, co-owners, Linda, back in the day, years ago, when it was a very, very small brand, and she worked heavily with them. My understanding is that she actually has an exclusive 15% affiliates commission from them, which means she gets paid 15% commission whenever anyone uses her Morphe code, whereas every other beauty influencer only gets paid 10% commission when people use the Morphe discount code with their name. So that's just another interesting fact for you. In terms of numbers for people that are interested in that sort of thing, we've done projections on this in the past, and I believe when we were looking at this, we were estimating Jaclyn, at the time she was heavily promoting, was making between $75,000 to $150,000 a month from Morphe affiliate codes. This is based on my hardcore numbers, which were pretty much confirmed for other beauty influencers, and the fact that they were earning 5% less than Jaclyn Hill as well. So that's not including the actual palette that she did with Morphe, which was Morphe's really big first, like, memorable palette that people spoke about, the Jaclyn Hill Beauty eyeshadow palette. After that palette, they obviously did the James Charles palette and the James Charles collection, which is now still on sale almost 2 months after this whole child grooming allegation thing came out. And Morphe is still selling him in stores and on their website. And people have said on my comments they've been seeing paid promotion from Morphe of James Charles, like, despite everything that's happened. So it's not even like they've just taken a bit of a distance from him. They're literally still pushing his products. And the thing that gets me about this, because people say, oh, well, maybe they're trying to liquidate the stock, and I completely get that from a waste perspective, trying to get rid of it. But my issue is that, do you think they're going to sell this stock and James isn't going to profit from it if his name is on the palette? It's a licensing deal. James is getting paid. James is being financially supported at a time where this is happening. Morphe's putting money in James's pocket. I would absolutely rather the palettes get burnt or recycled or rebranded than have them go towards someone that's being accused of these sorts of things, and the hard evidence is being circulated, and the boys are getting their Instagram accounts, Twitter, TikTok accounts deleted that come forward, and the threats that were made by James Charles against some of these boys that were exposed publicly. So much drama. But anyway, back to the whole Jaclyn situation. She's been laying quiet for a while, and she has got herself into a little bit of controversy with little bits and pieces. She's always big on affiliate codes and stuff like that. So a while ago she was like, I've really got into drawing, and then she posted like a link like, oh, swipe up and you can purchase the set of pencils that I use, and it was like $300 or something. It was super expensive for this set of pencils that she was colouring in with and stuff like that. And people noted that it was an affiliate link, and she didn't leave any disclaimer. Now, it's FTC guidelines. If you use an affiliate link in your description or in your video, anything like that, you have to leave a disclaimer stating that you do profit and generate some income if people purchase something through using that link. I mean, it's the guidelines, it's for transparency, because, you know, back in the day, do you remember back in the day, people were pushing Morphe like it was cocaine in the 80s, you know? Who was it? Nikki's tutorials, Jaclyn Hill, all of them. Just Morphe. It was a disaster. I even did a video, I think it got like over 800,000 views at the time. It was like, I'm so done with Morphe, because they did a Christmas palette collection on the 26th of December or something, and every single beauty influencer had this palette, and they were like, oh, I just happened to come across it. I really like it. By the way, I have a code. Every beauty influencer that was affiliated, it was so inauthentic. I think we were all very frustrated. So anyway, Morphe did get bought out a couple of years ago. Majority share was sold to private company, I believe it was. Can't remember who it was. I think it's a few different people, but had decent management. They sort of rebranded. They went in a more professional direction. I actually gave you some exclusives years ago on them trying to take out, I think it was their first store. And when I said that, everyone was like, oh, John, Morphe's not going to be getting a store. Check your sources. And then obviously 2 months later, the application was accepted, that they submitted, and the store existed. So anyway, that's just a bit of juicy background on that sort of thing. I do believe Morphe recently had to close a store. I think it was one of the ones in Florida, in one of the malls, but obviously because of COVID and everywhere being closed, maybe the rent was really expensive and so it just didn't make sense to keep it open. I guess it does kind of make sense, but I don't really think too much into that. I think during the, everything that's happening, it's not like, I wouldn't think about companies closing branches too seriously. It's not like we're in a booming economy and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, getting into today's drama, a lot of people were thinking that Jaclyn was making her products with Morphe, which would make sense considering she has a long-standing relationship with them. But given all the drama that happened and stuff like that over the years, our understanding is that Jaclyn actually went to a completely different lab when she released her lipsticks. Now, we all remember the Jaclyn Hill lipstick scandal, which was the Lipstickgate, people called it, with the lipsticks with it looked like there was mold growing in them, there was bits of sand or something that looked like sand, there was dust and white cotton things all over them as well, which is very, very strange. Like, they looked really, really bad. There's lots of pictures. It got to the point with Jaclyn Hill in this situation where the people were emailing asking for a refund because they were scared to use the products, and the emails were bouncing back because the email server was full from so many emails, which also I don't think is acceptable, because you would see a pop-up on the customer service saying your storage is nearly full, please purchase additional storage. But obviously they didn't do that, and so they just couldn't receive any more emails, which is super, super crazy. And then at the time I posted a video and I just said, Jaclyn, I really think you need to just refund people because you're a millionaire and these people have trusted you and put faith in you, and you've screwed up, obviously. And it shouldn't really be on them to chase you when they're doing you a favor by supporting you, right? Because she's not really done that much for people. You know what I mean? She's kind of like done the affiliate links, earned the money, bought the mansion, and there's not been much for the community in that journey. So anyway, that's just the kind of context of that situation. Now she's released these under eye powders and these general complexion products. This was the next round of Jaclyn Hill cosmetics. She's now sold an Ulta, but I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. So anyway, why don't we just put the picture on the screen? This is the collection. As you can see, we have some powders, we have some palettes with some powders in them. We have some under eye setting powders in the generic colours, lilacs, bananas, stuff like that. And there's been a lot of controversy with the shade range, as you can imagine from looking at this, but we're going to break it down and go through it one by one. So why don't we start with the swatches? Why don't we start with fair, and then we're going to go down and work through the scale. So first of all, in the fair scale, we have it swatched on sort of a medium skin tone. The shades, you can't really tell anything from them. It's very, very difficult to actually see anything. Like, they kind of just all look the same. I can see the second one has like a yellow undertone, definitely, but I can't really tell anything else apart from that. Then if we move on to the light to medium, again, we have a ton of super, super light shades. The only one that really looks like it has a bit of depth to it is probably the first one, but that's more of a yellow tone, but it's definitely a little bit darker. But it is difficult to kind of see, especially the second two swatches in this series, which is the series on the left, by the way, sorry, in comparison to like the other swatches as well. So we have 8 shades that are generally going to suit light skin. For straight up, that's pretty much what we're at so far. So on the spectrum of the 5 different skin sort of main undertones and tones that we see, we're catering towards 1, and perhaps we're dipping into 2 a little bit. Next, we're going to go on to the second half of the range. We have tan to deep and medium to tan. So why don't we start with medium to tan? So first of all, we're starting off with the dark end. So why don't we start from the far right and just work our way across so we kind of have the full spectrum. This medium tone looks to be quite a significant drop perhaps from the light to medium. I guess it's kind of similar to the final one, but a bit darker. Then the second one in the series actually looks lighter than that one. So that's a bit confusing as well. Maybe to kind of make it look like this second half of the series is deeper by launching it with the first one being deeper on the far right. But I do think that moving in from the far right, the next one next to it is actually lighter. So I do consider that to be more of the lighter skin tone shades. Bear in mind, this is mixed and medium skin, by the way. Then we go on to this next one. We can see a strong peachy undertone. So finally, we do have something that I think is dipping into like 2.5 to 3 on the scale of like deepness, with 1 being fair and 5 being very deep. Next, when we go into tan to deep, this is where we're really sort of getting, you know, I think the colours that we would definitely see on deeper skin tones. Bear in mind that some of these are under eye powders. It's not like we're contouring with them. So they're not going to be deep dark, right? We're not expecting blacks for contour and stuff like that. But the shades are really interesting. Can we talk about this orange for a second? This literally reminds me of an Oompa Loompa. Can we just put an Oompa Loompa on the screen, please? That's kind of how I imagine you would look if you use this product. Can we just be serious for a second? Like, this is being shown on someone that I think has a warm undertone, right? And I'm questioning like who has orange under eyes, right? Obviously people used to do color correction with orange and stuff like that, but it doesn't look like a color correcting product. It's in that deep dark spectrum of the scale. So very confusing. But finally the actual last shade looks like it's actually deep. But the other 2 shades in the tan to deep, the third and fourth in the entire series on the screen, they kind of look light. Like they're very medium. And I get that it has to be a bit lighter, but being realistic, people do tend to go a bit brighter on their under eyes, but not that much, right? People don't tend to proper like blow out like they used to. Do you remember Kim Kardashian, like back in the day, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago? She used to have super bright under eyes, but people don't tend to do that anymore because it kind of looked like a ski mask. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think people are going to be going that much brighter. I think, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just me personally anyway. And on guys don't even generally go lighter. Guys tend to use the same colour under eye, or else it's very obvious. Unless, obviously, guys are going for something that is an obvious look. I think I understand why people are a bit annoyed about the shade range, because it definitely seems like it's pretty much just all catering. Like, most of that medium to tan section in the second photograph literally looks like very similar tones to the first image. So I kind of just don't really get it. Like, you know, this is being swatched on a medium skin tone, so I'm just very confused. Like, part of me is thinking these pretty much all for light skin, and then there's not really anything for deeper skin. And YouTube and social media, like, generally people tend to have quite mixed demographics, right? It's not like a store that's in a certain area that certain skin colors, you know, might be living around. You know, different areas tend to have different minorities or not minorities and stuff like that. Social media is a very open market. People can watch whoever they want, so that's definitely interesting. Now, often, you know, I like to give a balanced argument. Often a lot of black creators do tend to have a high percentage black audience following them, because obviously a lot of the makeup is relevant to their skin tone. But I think with a lot of the white creators, especially mainstream white creators like Jaclyn Hill, they tend to have a very mixed audience, because it's not just beauty products like the generic, you know, contour, foundation, stuff like that. Sometimes it's, you know, it's perfumes, it's brushes, it's eyeshadows, which kind of generally speaking work for different skin tones, right? Next, we're going on to these powders. This is a separate product. And first of all, we start with lilac. Then we have pink. Then we have light banana. Then we have brightening banana. And then we have apricot. So definitely very interesting. But again, I don't see any of these working for like 4s and 5s on the skin tone spectrum, especially apricot being the deepest. And you need to have at least 1 shade for deeper skin tones, right? Like at least 1. Would it be that challenging? Like, even if you don't sell as many because there's less people, you know, in your demographic, like just one shade out of 5, or out of all the other ones, all the 20 from before. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, obviously banana comes from Ben Nye. This is back in the day, right? So Ben Nye was famous for like special effects makeup and stuff like that, but they had a banana powder, which was like a little powder that was like before people were really doing this kind of thing in makeup. And I do believe it was one of Kim Kardashian's makeup artists, no, it wasn't makeup artist, someone else at the time, I'm sure, was using banana powder under her eyes, and it went very mainstream after that. But the drag community, and I think the black community for baking as well, has been doing it for a long time. So it's basically just a very yellow powder for deeper skin tones. Then when you brush it off, it gives you a very warm complexion, whereas if you use something that's white or neutral, it looks very grey and ashy, which is not desirable. So definitely very cool. You know, like how when you do highlighters, sometimes gold highlighters look very nice on deeper skin, whereas sometimes the peachy ones can look nicer on super light skin, and then obviously white highlighters for white skin, so it doesn't look darker than the skin tone. I feel like at this point there's no accident. Like, we're all used to this from Jaclyn Hill. It just seems like one continuation after another. This obviously, you know, after the Anastasia palette that she nearly did, that we, from my research, looked like she was dropped from back in the day. I did a video on that. We also have all the Morphe palettes, the first Vault collection, and Jackie Aina was saying she couldn't get any product off, or there was too much falling out or something. I did a whole video on that as well. It was a huge disaster. And I don't want to put brands down, because brands have good days and bad days, but These were big scandals at the time. Like, all these other eyeshadow palettes were being released by different brands and different people in different collaborations, but no one was talking about them. It was always on like the Jaclyn Hill Morphe collaborations because there was always something happening with them, right? Let's read through some comments that happened across the internet and just get some context on this. So, Depechi Mind Mode said, "What in the name of literal chalk?" Yeah, absolutely. Tellyface said, "At this point, I feel like she's doing this on purpose as a sneaky way to attract alt-right women or some, no way in hell can anyone look at this shade range in 2021 and think it's actually acceptable." Maybe that's the thing. Maybe she's trying to appeal to like the racists. I don't know. Next, we have Peach Lemonade 91 said, "What exactly is this even supposed to be? I'm not even trying to be rude. I'm genuinely curious." That was quite interesting. Next, we have Casey RC, and she said, "I've never seen a less yellow banana powder," right? Because banana powder was always about being very yellow. I mean, it wasn't yellow, even the Ben Nye one, but it was yellow toned, whereas this one's kind of like an interpretation of a banana powder for lighter skin, perhaps. Next, we have Fresh Regret 4333 said, "So disappointed some alters have this generic private label crap with her name slapped on it." Yeah, that's also kind of crazy that like this is being sold in stores in Ulta's, but I think during the pandemic and stuff, I think people have stopped going to stores, and so I do get why Ulta would bring in a big celebrity and give them a space, even if the products aren't necessarily, Lipstickgate and stuff like that. There's been so much drama, but it most likely will bring people into the stores. I guess they have to check their sales and see if people are buying it, but I think it is a smart tactic, get the influencers in, get the new brands in and stuff like that. But I'm not bitter. Anyway, what do you think about the situation? I'm very curious to hear what you think. I just think this is one thing happening on a long list of things happening, and it's almost like you could do a whole book of short stories on the Jaclyn Hill scandals, I almost feel like, and I don't mean that in a shady way. Like, it would be really funny to read them. I just need to go back through my YouTube videos and like type them all out, but it could be funny when you think of it in retrospect. It's almost comedic, right? Anyway, if you've enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash the like button every time we do a titty flies into space. If you are new here, I would definitely consider subscribing. I post beauty videos 5 days a week. I do also have Cookie ASMR, which you can subscribe to. I post ASMR videos throughout the week now. I'm going to be ramping it up a little bit. Let me know what you think of the Jaclyn Hill situation down below. It's been a lot of fun joining me today, and I will see you later.